Welcome back, True Crime Army. I am your host, Margot, and this is Military Murder, a show where I share true crime stories involving the military and veteran community, all with one goal in mind, to remind you to remain vigilant always. If you're old hat around here, hey, how's it going? And if you're new here, welcome home, and listen, y'all, buckle in, because these stories are not for the faint of heart. Today's case stems from my research into a headlines episode, but there was so much information, it became its own standalone episode. And today's episode specifically unlocked a new fear about allowing my kids to have sleepovers. I mean, it's already a foregone conclusion that it's a big fat no from me if my kids ever ask me for a sleepover. But this case, well, let's just get into it. Join me today as I tell you the case against Ricardo Perez Castillo out of Michigan. Now, let's dig in.
Military murder is an independent project and is not endorsed by the Department of Defense or any military component. The views expressed are those of the host. The content of this podcast is not meant to be legal or medical advice. Warning, this episode contains graphic details of murder and is not suitable for young listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Picture this. It's a warm Friday night in June of 2024 in a quiet subdivision in Rockford, Michigan. 11-year-old Emily, which is not her real name, she's really excited about spending the night at her best friend's house. The neighborhood that she's staying at is an upscale, gated community, the kind of place where everyone feels safe. The two young girls, Emily and Claudia, also not her real name, they settle in for a fun sleepover. They slept in Claudia's bedroom. Emily slept on an air mattress on Claudia's bedroom floor, and Claudia slept on the top bunk. Now, I'm not sure if this was an actual bunk bed or just one of those beds that's elevated, and then there is like a desk underneath. But in any event, these were the sleeping arrangements. Emily was going to be on an air mattress on the floor, and Claudia was going to be up high. Inside the home that night were Claudia's parents, who slept in a nearby bedroom. By all accounts, this was supposed to be a simple summer sleepover, the kind that ends with giggles and opens the following morning with pancakes. But in the early morning hours of June 15th, 2024, that sense of security was shattered in the most horrifying way imaginable. At around 3 a.m., while the household slept, a stranger crept into the home on Ella Terrace Court. A man slipped in through an unlocked side door without anyone noticing. The intruder padded quietly through the dark house, having removed his shoes just to keep silent. In fact, he went as far as to take off his socks and even his pants, no kidding, stripping down to just a t-shirt and underwear. As the man moved quietly through the kitchen, he opened up a drawer and grabbed a large kitchen knife. And then he moved with purpose from the downstairs level up the stairs. No one in the house had any idea that a real-life nightmare was unfolding under their roof. Minutes after this man intruded into this home, the father of the home made this 911 call. Now, I'm going to play the call for you, but there's going to be a lot of empty spots, and that's because this 911 call is highly redacted. Take a listen.
Kent County 911, where's the emergency?
Help, there's someone in the house, and I think he raped one of the little girls in the house.
Okay, what's your address? Is the person in your home?
Yeah, they're laying like passed out on the floor.
Oh. They're in your home?
Yeah, they're laying on the floor, help.
Did they just make entrance into your home?
No, I think they raped the little girl. There's blood all over.
There's blood all over?
Yeah. The little girl's fine, but...
Can you see if she's injured?
No, she's fine. She's okay.
Okay. Do you think that he assaulted her, though?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got officers right around there, so give me a second, okay?
Yeah.
So he's in your house. Where is he in your house?
He's in the bedroom with her friend.
Okay. And how are the girls? What are they doing?
They're laying in bed. He's laying on the floor.
Okay. Are the girls out of the bedroom?
No, girls, get out of here.
Yeah, have the girls get out of the bedroom, and I want you to ask them if they're hurt at all.
Are you hurt at all? It's on your arm. It's coming from him or you?
Yeah.
Is it you? He's hurt. Call an ambulance. She's cut really bad.
He is? Okay.
She's hurt really bad, yep.
He is hurt? Okay, have the girl, listen to me. I want their friends to go somewhere in a different room and shut that door.
I got it. He's hurt really bad. Ambulance.
Yep, I've got an ambulance on the way. Are the girls hurt? Do you think that he assaulted them at all? Can you ask them?
He's hurt really bad.
No,
There's
not
a big old gash in the back of her arm.
her or him?
Her. He's laying on the floor. I don't know what he's doing.
Her has a gash on her hand?
No, on her, the back of her arm.
Okay, what is that from?
I don't know. It looks almost like a knife stab. He's not moving. He's laying on the floor.
Knife?
Yep.
Okay. Did he sexually assault? Can you ask them for me?
Did he touch you at all?
What'd they say?
No, I don't think so. Her pants are on. Go get the door. Go get the door.
And that
Come right up here. Ready?
are the police with you?
The police are in here.
The police are with you. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go then. Okay.
Right here, sir. Show me your fucking head. You come out.
Now, before this 911 call came in, authorities had actually received other 911 calls about this same unknown intruder. Because that intruder that was now being kept down at gunpoint by this homeowner, well, that intruder's terrifying journey began an hour earlier at a nearby home. Sometime after 2 a.m., a different Rockford area homeowner who had been up late cleaning after a dinner party outside walked into his kitchen and was startled to find a strange man just standing inside. The homeowner asked the man, hello, what are you doing? And the man bizarrely responded, quote, I don't even know what the is going on, but just in case, just be careful. Make sure you're armed, end quote. After saying this, the man nonchalantly walked out the door, and the homeowner, understandably shaken, locked the door and immediately called the police. Here is that 911 call.
911, where's your emergency?
Yeah, so I just walked in from my back deck, and there was a man inside my house, and now he's flagging down somebody outside my house. I walked him through.
He's in your back deck?
No, he was out front. Now he's trying to wave down cars. He's running across the street. But he was in my house. I suspect I didn't lock my door, but he told me that I should be armed. He was inside my home, yeah.
Okay.
And he's running south on which it turns into.
Okay.
Yeah, orange shirt, jeans.
He's what? Orange shirt?
Yeah, orange shirt, blue jeans.
Okay, and which way is he going?
He's south on
Okay.
towards the high school.
Okay. Do you still see him?
Can you guys see him at all? No. He's out of sight.
And how long ago did you see him?
It was within 5 minutes.
Okay. Did he have any weapons on him?
He didn't have any weapons that he showed me at all. When I approached him, he appeared scared and then told me that I should be armed and that I have to be careful. And maybe my side door was unlocked, but we do have our blink cameras.
Okay, so you have video camera footage of it?
Yeah, we should, yeah.
Okay. So you woke up and he was in your home?
No, my buddy and I were just clearing up from the deck from the night, and I walked into my kitchen and he was right there.
Okay. And you don't know him at all?
No, I do not know him at all.
Okay. Did he force entry, or you said you had your door unlocked?
I think the door was unlocked. I think he just let himself in. But I think we have a blink camera over at that door, so I think we have footage of that.
Okay. Okay, so we'll probably check the area first and then come speak to you. Is that okay?
Yep, I'll be up.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
After that call came in, authorities did search for the intruder, But the intruder was stealthy, and by the time they were looking for him, he was gone. But the thing is, he hadn't gone very far. So let's fast forward to roughly 3 a.m., and the intruder entered that home on Ella Terrace Court where Emily's sleepover was underway. Security cameras later revealed chilling footage of the man sneaking into that house. The video showed him taking off his shoes, taking off his socks, taking off his pants, and that was immediately upon entry. Then it shows him in only a t-shirt and underwear, grabbing a knife from the kitchen, and that's when the man crept upstairs through the quiet hallways. The man, who was later interviewed, admitted to investigators that when he broke into that home, he intended to kill the entire family. As the man moved through the upstairs, he tried the door for the primary bedroom, and as it opened, he saw 2 adults sleeping inside, and those were Claudia's mom and dad. The man thought about killing the couple, but then he closed the door without going inside, instead telling himself that he would search for an easier target. Those were his actual words, easier target. Well, he tried another bedroom door, and that door was locked. Eventually, though, he tried another door, and that's when he came upon Claudia's bedroom. Claudia's bedroom door was unlocked, and in that room, he found the easier target he had been looking for. He saw 11-year-old Emily sleeping on an air mattress on the floor. Bingo, he thought. This was exactly what he had been hoping for. A vulnerable child that he could attack without immediately alerting the adults. The intruder stepped into the room, he took off his underwear, and then he straddled the victim who was sleeping on the floor and knelt down over her and readied his knife. Then, in a swift and brutal act, the intruder began stabbing Emily as she slept. The first stab sliced into the child's shoulder and arm. Thankfully, the man missed her neck and all fatal areas. During the attack, Emily woke up in shock and pain, and she screamed, a blood-curdling scream of fear, agony, and complete confusion. Claudia immediately woke up and also started screaming. The girl's screams pierced the night silence, abruptly waking up the parents who ran into the bedroom. In an instant, the father saw the intruder and sprang into action. Now, it's hard to imagine the horror of waking up to find a stranger with a knife in your child's bedroom. But this father, he thought quickly and he jumped into action, fighting off the intruder. It's unclear from reporting whether the father arrived in the room already armed with a gun, or whether he somehow retrieved it during the struggle. But the father pointed the gun at the intruder, and facing the barrel of a gun, the intruder immediately halted the attack. The homeowner, still unsure if anyone was injured, managed to hold the intruder at gunpoint while he called 911. And you've already heard that call. After that 911 call, deputies from the Kent County Sheriff's Office raced to the scene, and that's where they found a shocking sight in that home. An 11-year-old girl bleeding from stab wounds, and on the bedroom floor, there was a man pinned down by the homeowner, and near his body lay a bloody knife. Now, thanks to that father's quick action, Emily's life was saved. She was, in fact, badly injured, and she was bleeding from multiple stab wounds to her left arm and her shoulder. But she survived. Paramedics rushed the girl to a local hospital where she would eventually undergo surgery due to her injuries. A judge would later remark that it was truly by the grace of God that Emily wasn't killed that night. And as I was researching this case, I had 2 thoughts come to mind. 1, imagine being Emily's parents and getting that call. Like, you're probably wondering, is this even real? And then my second thought was, why didn't the father light up the intruder with gunfire? So you're probably wondering, who the heck was that guy who entered that house? During their investigation, the intruder was identified as 24-year-old Ricardo Perez Castillo. So who the heck is Ricardo Perez Castillo? Ricardo Castillo was a United States Marine Corps recruiter. That's right, this man was an active duty recruiter for the Marine Corps. What in the world? Are you serious right now? Because when I heard that, I couldn't believe my ears. And I have a podcast called Military Murder, still couldn't believe my ears. This revelation stunned everyone because everyone thought the criminal who had intruded was some known criminal or maybe a drifter. But Castillo was none of those. He had been serving as a canvas recruiter in Lansing, Michigan since the fall of 2023. Prior to that, Castillo was an infantryman, and he had been assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 6th Marine Regiment at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. Castillo was in fact a Michigan native himself, originally from Waterford, which is a town about 2.5 hours away from Rockford. He was a clean-cut young man with no prior criminal record in Michigan or anywhere else for that matter, and according to Marine officials, this guy had no known disciplinary issues during his military service. On paper, Castillo appeared to be a responsible service member. Nothing in his background hinted at the kind of horror that he would unleash that random night in June of 2024. So, how did a Marine recruiter end up the alleged perpetrator of this heinous act? Investigators began looking for answers, and they learned that earlier that evening, Castillo had been drinking heavily. He was spotted at some bars in downtown Rockford, which is about a mile from the neighborhood where he was ultimately stopped. It was a Friday night, and he was off duty and just partying. During the investigation, authorities searched for any connection between Castillo and the family whose home he entered, and they found no connection at all. This wasn't a targeted event, and it was the randomness of the intrusion and that assault that makes this case so chilling. In the days immediately after the attack, more disturbing details came to light. In a chilling statement later recounted by Kent County Chief Assistant Prosecutor Elizabeth Bartlett, Castillo explained his twisted logic. He thought stabbing the girl in the neck would be the easy way to kill her, and he targeted her because she was the weakest family member. When he was asked why he had removed his pants upon entering the house and then eventually removing his underwear during the break-in, Castillo replied plainly that he was preparing to sexually assault the girl once she was dead. And the thing about this is that these gruesome admissions, they turned an already horrifying crime into something the judge would later compare to a scene from a horror movie. When this case eventually reached trial, Judge Christina Mims remarked in disbelief, quote, "What you engaged in was just what comes to mind is a real-life horror movie or a horror show where you're stabbing this child. It's just by the grace of God that she wasn't killed," end quote. This is the type of case that even seasoned law enforcement and legal professionals, they were shaken by the sheer brutality and perversity of Castillo's plan. One earlier hearing judge, District Judge Sarah Smolensky, said, quote, "This case, it's as scary as it gets. It's as horrific as it gets," end quote. And she noted that it put the community in a fear zone like no other. Investigators also discovered additional evidence corroborating Castillo's account and the sequence of events. There was surveillance footage from the home that captured his every move, showing him enter the house and then undress just as he had described. And the physical evidence at the crime scene, the bloody knife, the footprint evidence from his discarded shoes, it all backed up the story. It was also confirmed that Castillo had tried the other house first, the dinner party incident, and had given that bizarre warning to make sure you're armed, which in hindsight feels like the only tiny hint of awareness that he showed. And honestly, it really makes you wonder if the people at the first house would have been attacked had that man not walked in on Castillo. Some might actually argue that Castillo was not of right mind because he was drunk. But his actions at Claudia's house shows that he had way too much control of his faculties. And the fact that he skipped the parents' room and chose the child as the perfect, more vulnerable victim, that shows that this guy's brain was actually working during the assault. From the moment of his arrest, Ricardo Perez Castillo faced a slew of serious felony charges. Initially, prosecutors charged him with 4 felonies: assault with intent to murder, first-degree home invasion, assault with intent to commit criminal sexual conduct, and carrying a dangerous weapon with unlawful intent. These charges reflected the multiple crimes committed: the violent attack, the home invasion, the intended sexual assault, and the unlawful weapon use. Castillo was quickly arraigned, and given the gravity of the allegations, a judge set his bond at $2 million. She wanted to ensure that he remained in custody, which I just want to pause real quick. Am I the only one who ever thinks, why allow any bond at all in these cases? What if this man had been secretly wealthy and bonded out? What then? And really, to be honest, it drives me insane, but thankfully, this man did not have the means, so he remained in jail pending trial. In the early stages of the court process, Castillo waived his right to a preliminary hearing, which meant that the case proceeded directly to trial. Over the next year, the case moved through the legal system. Castillo initially pled not guilty to the charges, and the state prepared for trial. The victim and her family, they prepared themselves for trial as well, realizing that they would have to relive that nightmare in court. However, in October of 2025, shortly before the trial was set to begin, Ricardo Castillo agreed to a plea deal. He decided to plead no contest to 3 of the major charges, effectively accepting the conviction, but not formally admitting guilt. So what was the deal? Specifically, now 25-year-old Castillo entered a no contest plea to 3 things: assault with intent to murder, first-degree home invasion, and a reduced charge of second-degree criminal sexual conduct. In exchange, prosecutors dropped the additional weapons charge and the higher-degree criminal sexual conduct charge. The plea deal also spared everyone a lengthy trial, and most importantly, it spared the young victim from having to testify and recount the attack in open court in front of her attacker. On November 26, 2025, Ricardo Perez Castillo faced his sentencing hearing in a Grand Rapids courtroom. The atmosphere in this courtroom was tense and emotional. Judge Christina Mims, who presided over the sentencing hearing, had to determine how long this now 25-year-old would spend in prison for his actions. Under the plea agreement, the maximum sentence was set at 40 years, but the minimum could be anywhere from 15 to 20 years. In court, several people gave powerful impact statements that morning. The homeowner who held him at gunpoint, he spoke about the impact of this crime on his own family. Standing at the podium, very tense and you can tell filled with anger, he addressed the court saying, quote, "We've heard what he wanted to do to our family," end quote. He described how his daughter lives in fear now, saying that his daughter is suffering every single day and that she worries that somebody might actually try to break into her house again. He also described how after the assault, they had to clean up the bloody mess and eventually they had to move because the trauma of staying there was too much. And the homeowner then addressed the question on everyone's mind about why he didn't pull the trigger. And this is what he had to say.
I could have shot him. I get so much flashback for not shooting him. I'm a man of God, and I did not plan on doing that, but I also realized that it would have caused more damage if I did shoot him. It's in the middle of why I didn't, but God was there telling me not to. I wish that this didn't happen. But I just pray that you hear my words.
This homeowner's heartbreaking testimony makes it clear that the trauma of that night did not end when the intruder was arrested. No. His own child's sense of security in their very own home was stolen. The homeowner and his wife's life was also changed. Not only were they left to clean the blood, but then they had to physically relocate. That is a lot. Emily's stepfather also made a statement to the court. He said, quote, "What happened to her, unimaginable to the point that it almost didn't seem real until you live with it and experience it and see it and taste it and smell it and the true horror that comes from it," end quote. The stepfather actually said that he had worked with Marines in the past, Marines who had suffered from mental health issues and alcohol issues, but he said this man was not like them. This man was a terrorist. The stepfather even acknowledged that the reality of his own stepdaughter's injuries didn't hit him until very recently when they were working out and she took off her jacket and he saw the puncture wound on her neck. He couldn't believe that the man who did this to her wasn't just a drunk man. It was a Marine, someone who was trained to kill, and someone who was actually trying to kill her. He said, quote, "God willing, someday she gets married, she walks down the aisle and has a beautiful dress on, and you see all these wounds and these questions and different things, and it's not about what it looks like, it's about what happened," end quote. He continued, quote, "The act of terrorism isn't just the stabbing and the ill will towards another life. It's to me more the intent of trying to take something so precious, the intimacy from a child and a family and everything that comes with it," end quote. After this, the prosecutor read a statement that was written by the victim, Emily, and listening to it brought the courtroom to tears. In her letter, this brave little girl recounted the horror of that night from her perspective. Quote, I remember being in a lot of pain on the floor. I remember seeing all my blood everywhere. I remember feeling the warm blood running down my body. I remember the smell of it. I could still feel the sting of the pain, she wrote. She described being very scared and not understanding why this happened to her, and that she was terrified. Her innocent sleepover had turned into something out of a nightmare. And despite surviving this tragedy, this little girl also discussed how embarrassed she was to learn that her assault had been reported about on the news. Her classmates, her teachers, her principal, everyone at school knew what happened to her. After the assault, Emily wrote that she couldn't participate in PE class and that was really tough for her. She wanted to go outside to ride her bike and climb trees, but she couldn't because she was scared. After the assault, Emily said she couldn't sleep alone, so her mom slept next to her. Emily ended by expressing that she, quote, never would have guessed an innocent sleepover would have left me in the hospital with bad injuries. Even now, 15 months later, the trauma was fresh. She suffered nightmares and her family had to carry these emotional scars. In court, it was noted that Emily had in fact undergone surgery for her injuries and had a long road of recovery, both physical and mental, ahead of her. Despite what this little girl experienced, listening to her victim impact statement showed that this little girl was still so innocent. Hearing her words, Judge Mims herself looked visibly moved and outraged at the same time. And after all of the victim impact statements were read, the defense was offered an opportunity to present. And when Castillo himself was ready to make a personal statement, he did something that is rarely seen in court. Ricardo Castillo got down on his knees on the courtroom floor as he begged the family and even the community for forgiveness. With a quivering voice, he addressed the court and the victims, saying, quote, I know I don't deserve it. I can't imagine all the nightmares. I can't imagine anything that you have felt for the past, but I'm sorry. I'm truly from the bottom of my heart sorry. I was a lost person, end quote. He went on to say that while he was in jail, he found God, and that's when he realized how terribly lost he had been before. Castillo continued, directly addressing the people whose lives he upended. Quote, I ask for forgiveness from all of you, from both families, for the whole community of Rockford. I ask for forgiveness. Sorry. I'm sorry, he said. All of this, he said, while kneeling, literally pleading for mercy. It was an astonishing sight. This former Marine, who had once been in a position of authority recruiting young Marines, now was reduced to a sobbing, slobbering man on his knees, acknowledging the horror that he had caused after a night of drinking. Some observers found his display sincere, but others felt that it was theatrical and self-serving. In the end, one thing was certain. No apology, no matter how big, could undo the trauma that man inflicted in June of 2024. Judge Mims maintained her composure. She acknowledged Castillo's apology, but made it clear that no apology could erase what he did. In sentencing him, she emphasized how disturbing the case was on so many levels. And sometimes you wonder, what is the appropriate sentence for a crime like this one? Judge Mims ultimately ordered that Ricardo Perez Castillo serve a minimum of 225 months, which is a little less than 19 years, and up to 40 years in prison for the assault with intent to murder charge. In addition, he received a concurrent sentence of 7 to 20 years for the home invasion and 1.5 to 5 years for the sexual intent charge. All told, the effective sentence is 18 years and 9 months to 40 years, meaning that Castillo will not be eligible for release until he has served at least 18 years and 9 months behind bars. And this sentence does reflect that the judge was not messing around. Castillo was also officially designated a sex offender. The judge ordered that he register as a sex offender upon any release, given the sexually violent nature of his intended crime. This will ensure that he remains monitored for life. Because despite the lengthy service, at 25 years old, Castillo's earliest possible release will be when he is in his mid-40s, and he could be in prison until his early 60s, but, he's still going to be relatively young. As Castillo was led away in handcuffs to begin serving his sentence, the community of Rockford finally breathed a sigh of relief. But the healing has only just begun. For the victims' families, the nightmare didn't end with the sentencing. Emily still faces a long road to recovery because psychological scars are deep, and they often take longer to heal than physical wounds. Her family has mentioned that she is anxious and struggles to feel safe in her own home. Despite adding extra security, the innocence of her world is shattered. And for the Rockford community, the larger Michigan community, and quite honestly, the entire community, including our True Crime Army community, this case was a wake-up call that evil can strike anywhere, even in the safest feeling suburbs. As for the Marine Corps, after the initial arrest, officials issued a statement expressing how deeply saddened they were by what had happened, and they emphasized that the case was an isolated incident of one individual's wrongdoing. Just so you know, they did fully cooperate with the Michigan authorities. So now, as you reflect on this case, you can't help but hug your loved ones a little tighter and double-check the locks on your doors at night. This case stands as a sobering reminder that monsters are real, and they can appear when and where you least expect them. And in those moments, it is the courage of ordinary people, a vigilant neighbor, a quick-thinking father, and a resilient young girl that can make all the difference between life and death. In this case, the worst was avoided, and for that, we are all grateful. Emily, I know that's not your real name, but if you're out there and you're listening, you got this, girl. And I am praying that one day you have a supernatural recovery and that one day you will share your story of triumph. True Crime Army, as I mentioned at the top of this story, a new fear literally was unlocked as I researched this case. I thought I had heard it all, but no. And the fact that this case is fresh off the press makes it even more unbelievable. Friends, I want you all to hug your loved ones a little bit harder tonight and pray over your kids at all times because life is short. Shout out to my girl Myrtle for getting those 911 calls for me to use today. My sources for this episode include reporting by WWMT News Channel 3, Marine Corps Times, People Magazine, Court TV, Fox 17 West Michigan, WZZM 13 Grand Rapids, and Kent County Sheriff's Office. Military Murder is a Mama Margot production. The music was created by Ty-Ops. If you want to support this show, be sure to check out patreon.com/militarymurder, where you can get access to up to 60 bonus full-length episodes. Until next time, remember, you never really know what someone is capable of, so remain vigilant always. You have a fabulous week, and I'll keep digging to bring you another military murder story next time.
Mama's working on her podcast. I don't want to.